Hello and welcome to our podcast for Chapter 3, Sections 1 and 2. The quiz will be on Wednesday, October 17th, so that is this coming Wednesday. Quiz format will be basically like the previous ones. We will have a set of multiple choice and a couple of essay short answer questions for you to finish. We will start at the top of the study guide and move down. So as you can see here, definition of matter. Anything that has mass and takes up space. So we're going to match up the M's here to remember this. Which method is useful to separate items that are large? Filtration. Of course, if you have a container that has rocks and if there's water in it, then you're going to filter those rocks out using a screen of some sort. Which method is useful to separate items that are small? That's going to be filtration also. And which method is useful to separate items that are invisible or that you can't see them? That's going to be evaporation. So if you think of our crystals, we used evaporation to separate those from the water. Next up, example of a chemical formula. Two very simple examples here. H2O for water, CO2 for carbon dioxide. You can see we have the element symbols. We've got a number showing how many of those are in the formula. If you don't see a number, basically there's a 1 there. So behind the O in water, there's a 1. And in between the C and O in carbon dioxide, there's 1. It tells you there's one molecule, one atom. What is a substance? A single kind of matter that is pure and has a specific set of properties. So we've got salt, sugar, and water. So understand the definition and examples of them. What unit do you use when you find the mass of an object? And the SI unit is kilograms. Obviously our balances, we're not measuring in kilograms. We don't have objects that have that much mass, so we do end up using grams. But kilogram is the official unit. That is a question that has been repeated here, so we should have a high rate of success here. Examples of physical properties. This is a characteristic that can be observed without changing it. Examples here have quite a few of them. The hardness of an item, texture, temperature, color, state of matter, liquid, solid, gas, boiling point, freezing point, melting point, and its ability to be dissolved. Examples of chemical properties are going to be flammability, that's its possibility of catching fire, inability to rust. The big difference between physical and chemical is that when we're speaking of chemical, we get change. So you can match up the CH and CH, chemical and change. And when we have physical, there's no change. No change whatever, it stays the same. Okay, let's take a look at homogeneous or homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. Homogeneous are so evenly mixed you cannot see the parts. So we think of air, even a trumpet, which a lot of times will have multiple metals that are mixed together. Heterogeneous usually see the different parts and they can be easily separated. So you could separate your salad and you can see the different parts of concrete. And sometimes, depending on how much salt you throw down, you get to see your concrete driveway break up. Mixture, that's made of two or more substances that are together in the same place. So we've talked about homogeneous and heterogeneous. Now we're at the overall mixture. So two or more substances that are together in the same place. Soil, salad, sugar water. Give examples. We had salt water also during our investigation. What happens to a solute when placed in a solvent? The solvent dissolves the solute. You saw that in our investigation with our solubility that we just did last week. Okay, let's take a look here at our microscope and work through the different parts. So hopefully these are fairly common to you after we've used these last week. So our first one here, of course, that we're going to look through is our eyepiece. I'll change my pen here just to make it a little larger. Next up, this is pointing at the coarse, C-O-R-S-E, coarse adjustment knob. Then we have the fine fine adjustment knob. And then down here at the bottom, we have our base. And of course, whenever you carry a microscope, you always want to carry it by the base and then hold the neck, which would be right here. And you want to hold that close to you. Let's go to the top on the right. These are our objective lenses, or our objectives. Next up, this is our stage. This is where we put our slide. Then underneath, and we didn't talk about this too much, at least in my classroom, we did use it on a couple of you, depending on which letter E, but this is the diaphragm. And that is where it changes. Now the video from YouTube we watched, he did bring that up. And then finally we have our light. So here are the parts of our microscope. Make sure you are familiar with them. They're not anything that you're going to need to memorize. You will have options to choose from and match them accordingly. Picture is very similar from what you see here will also be on the quiz. Okay, just a reminder, all right, at the bottom of your study guide, you have questions that are in your textbook that you can do for practice. You don't have to, they're optional. You don't need to do all the questions. If you want to, you can go through and do all of them, but it's not necessary. Don't forget to take the My Big Practice quiz over and over and over and over until you get 100% repeatedly. Also, this time on that My Big Campus quiz, we have it so that it will rotate some questions. So each time you take it, you're actually getting a couple of new questions each time. So it's even more important that you take it more than once. All right, finishing up, this quiz is Wednesday, October 17th. Going to be over chapter 3, sections 1 and 2. If you have questions, get on My Big Campus, post them. If you're not sure if what you have on your study guide is correct, make sure you come see Mr. Cora or myself either in class or during charger time, or again, post that question on our discussion board. Best of luck.